Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Brett, and this is The Beast Reads. If you got both those references, give yourself 20 points. Today, I'm going to answer the 11 questions of the BookTube Newbie tag. Question number 1. Why did you start this channel? I like books. When I found BookTube, I thought, this is great. People talking about books and asking for my thoughts. I'd write long and rambling comments, then delete them. I'd just say, I like that book too. But I still had the thoughts in my head, and I wanted to talk about me, what I think, what I like, what I know, what I read. So to keep my head from exploding, I started this channel. Question number 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? Well, I'll bring my sense of humor. I'm hilarious. But seriously, folks, every reader has a unique reading history. If we took a Venn diagram of the books I've read and the books you've read, there would be some overlap, the books we have in common. But the real fun is the books outside that intersection where we can recommend things to one another. Question number 3. What are you most excited about with this new channel? If I can put out enough videos to be called a YouTuber, I'm hoping it will impress my grandchildren and at the same time embarrass my son and daughter. Sort of a win-win. Question number 4. Why do you love reading? It's the escapism. I was a blue-collar man for 45 years. Work, trudge, 8 days a week. The best way to get away from it all was to open up a book. I wouldn't just be a million miles away, I'd be 12 parsecs away. Question number 5. What book or series got you into reading? I do know the path that got me here. I read a lot when I was a kid. People would gift me books, but none of them were quite right until I got a Rick Brant science adventure book written by John Blaine. It was one I was looking for without even knowing it. I found a few in stores. They were easy to spot on the shelves with that lightning bolt and the circle logo, so they were easy to spot but hard to find. One day at my aunt and uncle's house, my cousin Peggy, the only other reader in the family, the only other reader I knew, she asked me what I like to read. I told her about the Rick Brant books, and she said she had some. Would I like to have them? Well, yeah. 60 years later, still got them. The local library didn't have any of them, but I looked every time I was there. I remember the library had a nonfiction series, something like Great American Frontiersman, had Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone, Kit Carson, Jim Bridger, Jim Bowie, many others. The only problem was I saw each title character in my head as Fess Parker. Once I found the kids' fiction section, I'm sure I read several of the books, but 2 things stick in my mind. The Gamage Cup by Carol Kindle and its sequel, The Whisper of Glocken. It's a sort of secondary world fantasy adventure. Looking for similar books, I found The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. I hate to jump to conclusions, but this might be the book that started my lifelong love of clever wordplay and even clever number play. Watchdog. One day at the library, something caught my eye. I thought it was a Rick Brant logo with a lightning bolt. I headed that way. Initial disappointment, but then the ceiling opened up, a beam of light came down, the music hit a crescendo. I had found the science fiction section. What had caught my eye was the logo for Winston science fiction books. But the book that I checked out first wasn't a Winston book, but Lord of Thunder by Andre Norton. This is the copy I read from the library. I got it at a book sale, library book sale. Had to buy it because it reminded me so much of my childhood. When I took that book home, I was halfway through. I asked myself, I wonder if they have any more books by this Norton guy. Spoiler alert, they did, and I read almost all of her books. She's my favorite author for a long time. That's the long and winding road that got me here. Note to self, send a link to this video to Peggy as a thank you. Question number 6. What would you ask your favorite booktubers? Have you read any good books lately? We start working on a Venn diagram thing and talk for hours. Question number 7. What challenges do you think will be the hardest to overcome starting this channel? The editing. All of the advice I see about starting a BookTube channel says, be your authentic self, but cut out all of the ums and ahs and long pauses. But that's the way I talk, so if I cut that out, it wouldn't be the authentic me. Time, or viewer retention, will tell us how much of the authentic me, the viewer you, can stand. Question number 8. When did you start reading? My mother tells a story that when I was a preschooler, she would sit and read to me. But I'd take the book and read it back to her. It's just a mother bragging. I was just memorizing the words that went along with the pictures. It's a way of learning to read, I suppose. I do know that by third grade, I was a reader. One day, the teacher announced a new program. If you're caught up on all your classwork and passing all the subjects, you go to the band room and try out for some music lessons. If you didn't want to do that, you'd have to sit in a classroom and read. I thought, well, welcome to paradise. You're going to take most of the kids out of the class, and the ones that are left have to do their schoolwork quietly or sit and read. I thought, that's sign me up. I was ready for that. That's probably when I started the habit of having a book with me to read. I did that all through high school. Question number 9. Where do you read? I have a nice comfy chair right over there in the other room, right in front of the TV. There is nothing better than a nice long weekend. Got all the chores done, lawns mowed, house is clean-ish, dishes, laundry done, everything finished. I can sit down in front of the TV, turn on a ball game, and dive into a book. I can't tell you how many times I've looked up from reading and thought, San Francisco and Seattle? I thought I was watching Atlanta and New York. What happened in that game? Highlights will be on later. Back to the book. Question number 10. What kind of books do you like to read? I read science fiction. I was reading science fiction when science fiction wasn't cool, back when it was that stuff. All I ever wanted was a book where the front cover and the back blurb sang out, "Come sail away." I can't wait to climb aboard that starship. Question number 11. What does your book collection look like? Imagine, if you will, a used bookstore, but not just any used bookstore. One of those hole-in-the-wall places with books everywhere. Nothing sorted by genre or author, books on tables and chairs, books in boxes stacked on the floor. If you can imagine that, you can picture my collection. That brings us to the end of the 11 questions of the BookTube Newbie tag. If you've enjoyed listening to me ramble on, give the video a like. It don't cost nothing. And remember, Styx is the greatest American rock band.